Players were not paid out at this time. So the net is a little over 100,000. It's not committed. The donations were 6,440. There was a small amount of interest, $64, plus additional $857 interest on CDs. So that's basically the sum of the finances on this.
Point of information, who are the two players?
That was taken out of this motion, so I'm not going to provide it. You can ask the board.
It's in your delegates call.
Thank you. 11:48, Brian Watterson.
This is just a motion to allow state affiliates to obtain the addresses, email and postal, of the USCF members within the state, so that they can contact USCF members and invite them to participate in state affiliate activities. Other potential uses of it would be, for example, if a state affiliate wanted to conduct elections for delegates. At the moment, there wouldn't be any way for them to do that because they wouldn't be able to contact USCF members. So they wouldn't know who they were. Now, there is a provision, although it's nowhere easy to find, that currently allows affiliates to have the USCF do a mailing for them once per year. The reason why that is not really adequate is that it is only once per year, and it doesn't give the delegates access to email addresses and postal addresses so that they can contact the USCF members themselves. Arguably, this, in the spirit of full disclosure, I'll tell you that arguably this motion isn't really necessary because under Illinois statutes, any member of the USCF could request this information under corporate books and records provisions in the statutes. However, in the interest of making things clear and avoiding conflict, or any potential conflict, I thought that it would be good for the delegates to be on record that they are in favor of the USCF providing state affiliates with this information.
Question?
Yeah. Are you saying that under Illinois law, any member of any organization's name and address can be given out like that?
Not exactly. The provision in the Illinois statute is that members of nonprofit organizations can obtain corporate books and records, which certainly includes this kind of information, for a valid purpose. And there's a lot of litigation about what constitutes a valid purpose. Some of the decisions about what definitely constitutes a valid purpose would be electioneering, for example. But whether or not all the things a state affiliate might want to do, for example, conducting an election, there may not be case law that clearly answers that question. So it would be a point of litigation. No state affiliate is going to want to sue the USCF, obviously, to get this information. So when I point that out, it was not a veiled threat or anything like that. It was simply making the point that this information potentially is already accessible by a member, but it would be good if the delegates, especially if that member was the president of a state affiliate, but it would be good if the delegates were on record saying that they want to support state affiliates being able to contact USCF members within their states.
As already noted, we do have a program which a state chapter can once a year request a list of name and addresses. However, there are two differences between that and the present motion. One is that a member who is asked to be excluded from having his name and address given out is excluded from that list. Second is we do not currently release email addresses to anyone. This would be a significant change to our privacy policy. I have on numerous occasions urged that the executive board do a comprehensive review of our privacy policy because while there are many conflicts that I know of or that I've been told between Illinois law and federal law and laws in other states regarding privacy of information, especially with regards to minors. I think this is, I support the idea of helping state chapters promote chess in their state. I just think we need to be careful to do it within the constraints of our privacy policy, either current or revised, and federal and state laws.
Okay. So I guess I'm very interested to know whether or not that we will still have to pay per address if this is passed.
Once a year, you get it for free.
I didn't get it for free. I had to pay for it. I just did. I did it as the state affiliate. I had to pay $70. Electronic address list that I could use to mail the Michigan Chess Bulletin to advertise the state championship event. I worked it out with Tracy about 2 weeks ago. Apparently.
I personally favor us having a policy that the states get that information on a very reduced rate, basically covering a setup fee. There is some staff time associated with that. The other thing is I would absolutely oppose us giving out email addresses, but be willing to do for a small setup fee emails on behalf of the state.
I also bought an email blast. It was very well organized. It was very difficult to execute. It's not easy to find that information.
The other thing too about, in speaking with council on this issue, because Brian had brought up the issue about email addresses related to contacting voting members, council was very clear with me that they felt that there was in no way did we need to give out email addresses of members related to even the election. So if that's the case, then email addresses would not be something that a member could just walk in and get, as far as private information.
I think that from Wisconsin.
All right, I'm going to put on my other hat here. I'm going to take the badge off here for a second, put on my state president hat. And Jennifer, just to let you know, although she's not listening. Jennifer?
Sorry, I am listening. I was listening to my...
Jennifer?
Sorry.
I do. As state president, I've been requesting the list since probably the early 90s, and I have been able to receive one complimentary list from the USCF ever since.
I did it as the vice president under the state chapter affiliate
You have to, okay, you can do it online. I go straight, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm sorry, I go straight to Tracy.
I did go, I did it through
Probably didn't understand you were asking.
Yeah, and it's very clear. I specifically stated in the email that this is the complimentary copy for the Wisconsin Chess Association. Yeah, okay?
Yeah, no, that's transparency. It'd be wonderful.
Frank?
Yeah, Frank Camerata, Alabama. I am concerned about giving out private information like the law, but isn't there an option, or can't be an option for people joining that they either check, the default would be we don't give out your information unless you check yes. I certainly wouldn't want people being able to track down addresses and things like that. What is the current policy?
I think everything is opt-in, is opt-out. You have to opt out from initial settings. But certainly from contacting us, you have to opt out.
I believe that on the web membership form, there's a checkbox to say exclude my name and address from giving out to third parties. I think there's a similar one on the PDF form and the membership form that's available for affiliates and others to use. And we also have other ways that people can contact us and request that their name and address be withheld from third-party lists. And in the case of email addresses, we've actually gone further than that. We have 5 or 6 or 7, I've lost count, different categories of things you can be asked to be excluded from. You could be asked to be excluded from mailings on behalf of USCF sales, mailings on behalf of state chapters, national events, and a variety of others, and I think we may be adding another one of those in the near future. I've suggested we might want to do something similar for mailing addresses at some point in time, just to kind of be consistent between the two. Because with that, then would have to mean having to ask somebody who's requesting exactly what they're going to be used for. And I know, for example, that this motion specifically says for the purposes of promoting chess, and not necessarily for the purpose of promoting a specific tournament. So it's not clear that this would be restricting the current once-a-year program or expanding it. Brian may want to address that point. But I think we do have methods. As Bill said, it is currently an opt-out system as opposed to an opt-in system. Unless you check that box, your name will not be considered confidential.
But if you opt out, then what Brian's talking about, your name would not appear on that list.
That was the question that I raised. As I read Brian's motion, it does not address the opt-in, opt-out question. That was why I said this could be considered a significant change of our privacy policy, both with respect to the opt-in, opt-out on mail addresses and the fact that we currently have no way for somebody to get your email address. So it would be considered a significant change of our privacy policy, in my opinion.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Alan?
On the affiliate portion of our website, when we are signing up members through the TD and affiliate portion, there are two boxes to check off, one of which is to exclude from mailings, the other is to exclude email. Right. There are those two choices at that point. Then the member, once they're a member, can go on and filter those exclusions a little bit more.
Savon?
There seems to be some research that needs to be done on this from a legality perspective. Perhaps it would be best to refer this to the executive board to have it researched and then to come back next year with the determination of what to do or to implement it throughout the course of the year. But I don't think anybody up there can right now say what the legal issues are going to be that we're going to face, and we shouldn't place the EB in that position or the delegates in that position if there are privacy-related issues. So I would recommend, and I don't know if this would be a friendly amendment or not, or I move to refer this to the executive board for implementation.
We'll move in a second to refer to the executive board.
No, but it's
Discussion.
already.
Now we have discussion behind Savon.
On the point of referring, I would like to oppose that, mostly because in Massachusetts we'd like to get started with contacting members and getting them involved in the state organization and not have to wait until next year. If we've gone this long, so another year, I guess we could wait, but it would be disappointing to have to continue waiting. The other thing I'd like to point out is regarding the opt-out and privacy question. I deliberately made the motion silent on that question because I did, and that may have somewhat subverted the aim of getting it passed. It was not my intention to force the office to provide information to state affiliates that they were encumbered in providing. Or to put that more plainly, if there was some reason why privacy policies or laws prevented them from furnishing an email address or a postal address, I didn't want this motion to override that and say, well, damn it, you're going to give us the address whether you've committed to someone that you not do that, or not. So that's why it's not mentioned. Perhaps if there's a mention, it should be the other way around. Once we finish the discussion of the referral motion, I will add as a friendly amendment an extra clause that says that there be no intention to compel the USCF to disregard privacy policies or opt-outs by members regarding their personal information.
Savon,
I'm deferring to Bill.
you've recognized Savon, and Savon's yielding to me.
I'm yielding to Bill.
Just real quick, I think we're trying to make delegate level policy on something that the executive board should help establish as policy, and then the office should, within a week or two, at least come up with pricing, and might work with me over the next 2 weeks to come up with pricing for state affiliates, and to where it's a very cheap setup feed rate for both email blasts and other things, and we'll define internal office policy what it's directed at. I would say certainly promoting membership in the state, that's something we probably ought to do more than once a year for the states. If it's the state championships, I think we should help promote those for a very cheap fee. Things getting much beyond that, there should be more of a charge for.
Okay, we're still discussing the motion to refer.
In the interest of time, if Bill would make a gentleman's agreement that would be addressed sooner rather than later, like within the next month, I'd be willing to withdraw the motion entirely.
Yeah, I don't see the problem. The only advantage I see is if we refer it to the board with power to implement, that kind of gets them on the hook for having done something, so we don't come back next year and say, but you didn't do it.
Right, that's related to the policy.
Yeah. Right.
But I do want to mention, Bill, if you have to go back and get any kind of legal opinion, that might take longer than 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. I don't want you to get hamstrung by that.
We'll stick with our current privacy policy as far as who you can contact, but as far as the pricing and what's already in place, we can do. The things about members who have checked don't contact me, that's something we'll have to get some legal opinions on. The board will have to restructure our privacy policy. So that will take longer, but as far as being able to do the email blast and give the printed list, that's a different story.
Okay. So parliamentarian, if Brian withdraws his motion, does that withdraw the referral motion?
Of course.
Okay, so do you withdraw?
Well,
Can we make the gentleman's agreement?
with leave from Savan, I'll withdraw it. But if Savan would prefer to have it referred
Wants
to
to
the...
draw.
Okay.
1148 withdrawn. 1149, Brian Mottershead. Sales trademark.
I think this would probably be a fairly long discussion, or else it would be a very short discussion resulting in a vote that would be a little embarrassing to me, so I'll withdraw this.
1149 withdrawn, 1150.
50 and 51 are withdrawn.
We are at new motions.
Here we go. Tony's turn.
Delegate motions. Seven new motions.
I may have, the one we have come in while I was standing up
These would be DM 52, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
there. Is 52 withdrawn, Brian?
Yes, I withdrew 52.
Okay.
These are new ones. These are new ones. They're not on the. They're not in the delegates hall. I don't see any.
Now we have
He
delegate
withdrew
motion
it.
53.
Okay, the first one I have is for Myron and Rachel Lieberman. Just a minute, I'll try to get her up on screen.
It should be done by one, even if you're not using the plane. Good luck with that.
Okay, sounds great.
I thought it was mandated. No.
Can you make it larger?
Right.
Might be perfect as 301.
How's that?
If there are no citizens, did you want to read it, Rachel?
if there are no sustaining memberships, allow life memberships purchased from the office to be paid off on time at an interest rate attractive to both the member and the USCF. The reason for this is because a large lump sum payable in one payment is going to be very unaffordable to several people. I can tell you right now that if Myron and I were not life members, we couldn't afford to become life members now. So we think it might be worth consideration, and the details are for later, but it might be worth consideration to at least have a payment plan of some kind with interest rates to be determined by the office and purchase of it to be made through the office. So you're not tying up a line of 100 people trying to register for a tournament and all of a sudden you want to make a payment with interest for your life membership. So I think this might be worthy of consideration. Thank you.
Discussion? Frank?
I must have missed a lot of the discussions having to do with life and sustaining members. I was just curious as to why they were eliminated and what the rationale was. I mean, I think they had a certain purpose.
Bill Deutschberg?
Life memberships were not eliminated. We did. All right. Well, yes, we got life and sustaining. Sustaining memberships were eliminated largely because we heard from so many delegates throughout the years, simplify, eliminate categories, and there were very few categories that we thought we could eliminate without causing a big uproar. Sustaining is one which we did propose to eliminate. There was no uproar. It was eliminated. I think the idea is not bad. You might get a few more members that way. I don't really think you'll get a lot more members. I think basically what you get is you'll get, if you have sustaining, some people will be sustaining instead of regular. Some people will be sustaining instead of life. It's not going to have a tremendous effect, but the effect, I think, would be very slightly beneficial. On the other hand, it is one more category. So if you take the position, we have too many categories, it's too confusing, here's one that was eliminated. I would consider this a constructive discussion, and if there's enough demand, I don't think it's horrible to bring this back, but I do think if you bring this back, don't keep complaining that there are too many categories.
This motion does not bring back the sustaining category. It recognizes the fact that there is no sustaining category, but it also recognizes the fact that for many people that might like to become life members, they don't have a way to do it because they can't afford it. Therefore, this provides a mechanism whereby without adding a membership category, people might still be able to get life memberships as long as they're able to pay for it on payments at a schedule and interest rate that's determined by the office or the board.
I think we call that a credit card.
I know, you've got a torch.
Could I, a point of information?
Yes, Brian.
I think I have a lot of questions about how this would actually work, because of course when someone's paying you off on time, the first thing that you think of is, well, what happens when if they don't finish paying me off? So what if someone becomes a life member and we have payables on the book from them for the amount of the life membership, and they're paying it off over a period of time, and they stop paying, or they decide they don't want to be a life member anymore? Do they cease to be a life member at that point? Do we revoke their life membership? What about the money that they already paid? Do we refund that money?
That is considered a relinquishment, just like in situations where you might have pension or profit sharing plans where people leave before they're fully seated. Yes, just like anything else, if you pay for something and you stop paying, then
we repossess the life membership, basically?
In essence, that can be done, but you know, it's the person that's saying, no, I don't want this, basically.
So then the follow-up question from that would be, well, what happens? Do they have a grace period?
The USCF keeps it.
But how long? Do they miss one payment? Do they lose their life membership? Is it 2 payments they've missed, or they're overdue for how long?
Details are to be worked out by the USCF, whether it's the board or the office. That's up to them. The details are to be worked out by USCF.
Bill Holmes. We came to the board saying we need to do away with this program. It was in place a long time. There weren't very many people taking advantage of it, and it was a major headache. It was a major PR disaster because a lot of people would forget, come back and say, "Oh, I've lost this." And I get put in a position of having to let people be forgiven for 2 years or 3 years of lapses, and it's just a ridiculous boondoggle, and very, very few people take advantage of it.
Bill, yeah, this is not putting this sustaining membership back. I agree with fully. I think this is good. I think that this also, there's a later motion coming up later, that this may go to the committee for that. But this, the only difference between this and the sustaining membership is the fact that there is this interest rather than a flat fee. And I think that's why we have an ADM coming up a little bit later that may clarify that, and this would likely incorporate it, and I think it's the next one.
We're finished with ADMs, we need DMs.
Yeah, there is a DM on our
Helen Henshaw, Virginia, I call the question.
Yay.
Object. Is there an objection to calling the question?
I actually have a friendly amendment I'd like to make.
Too late. Well, is that an objection or not?
We're going to vote on the calling the question.
We are.
Or we're going to vote on the objection. Okay, vote on calling the question. All in favor of calling the question, raise your cards. All opposed, raise your cards. Abstain. The question has been called. We're going to take a vote on this right now. All in favor of this motion, raise your badges. All opposed to this motion, raise your badges. This motion, which I think was 53, well, we'll call it 108.
Internal number 108.
Oh, okay. Fails. 109. Is that correct? We go that order?
I'm not 100% sure they're going to be in numerical order.
Not really.
Using.
The next one is Harold Allen Priest, Guy Hoffman, Gerald Larson, Richard Kepke, Brian Mottershead, Byron Lieberman, Ken Malou.
All right, one slight change, the word USCF should be before membership meeting. This was part of a transition plan that the bylaws committee came up with after the bylaws workshop. We think we've solved the DAL problem by getting those resignations because we want to start everything new on January 1st, okay, of 2013. However, we have the situation now that we elect delegates at the membership meeting in August 2012 that if we don't change things would have a one-year term, and that would go past the January 1st. So we're saying that the 5 additional delegates we would elect next year, and we didn't want to put dates in, that their terms would expire on January 1st, So we have the fact that only the executive board would be the board of directors from January 1st on. This could be changed at August next year to go back to giving them the full one-year term as delegates, because that won't be a problem.
And the reason why we need to do this year is that those delegates, those potentially additional 5 delegates, would be elected at the membership meeting, which would occur before the meeting of the Board of Delegates. So it's important to make that change this year so that when those folks are elected, they will know that their term will end rather than having to go and ask them to resign at that point.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on the delegates' motion, new business 109.
Does require a 2/3 majority.
Does require 2/3. All in favor, raise your badges. All opposed, raise your badges. Abstain. Motion passes by 2/3.
Frank, can I make that announcement now we talked about?
I'm Jim.
Jim, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Harold Winston has a has an announcement about the Hall of Fame opening ceremonies in St. Louis.
All right, Tony Rich has given me information on the Hall of Fame. I'm going to try and pass around to everyone. One is a schedule of events from the public opening on, no problem with that. The other side mentions the VIP opening. And I have to say, I do have a question. My understanding previously was to come to that, you had to get an invitation. And we've been sending in addresses like the whole executive board, for example, is invited. Tony's impression from a recent call is that anyone can go to that, and if they're not invited, they pay a fee. And I said to him, well, what's the fee? And he doesn't know. So just warning you on the VIP, you're going to have to recheck if you don't get an invitation and you want to go as to what the situation is. I wanted just to announce that before the cards are passed out to prevent any misunderstandings. Okay?
So, Harold's going to pass out VIP invitations, the opening ceremonies of the Hall of Fame across the street from the St. Louis Chess Club on September 8th in St. Louis. This is your invitation to appear. You may have to pay a fee. Go ahead, Wisconsin.
Hi, I'm Sandy Paul. I'm submitting this motion because I'd like to see an end to some of the lawsuits that still protect our federation's right to initiate or defend in a lawsuit if it's absolutely necessary.
That's not what's written.
And I don't want to see this somebody who's suing the federation in office if it's creating a lot of unnecessary expense.
Yeah, we get it. This is number what?
110.
110.
I move to refer it to the bylaws committee.
Second.
Motion has been made to refer to the bylaws committee and seconded.
Yes.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of referring it to the bylaws committee, vote. Opposed? Abstained? Motion 110 has been referred to the bylaws committee.
Next one I have is Tony Haven.
Tony Pavone.
112. What happened to 111?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, 112. Sorry.
Which one do you want? 111?
111 is Harold.
Oh, okay.
Was that the vote of thanks? Well, that goes last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
112.
Yes. Okay, because of the one that this morning that we didn't add and everything, this one is just simply to form a committee to streamline and simplify the USCF news structure. Point 2, this committee is to form a survey to be placed in chess light for kids, and sent
USCF committees, USCF affiliates, and all tournaments concerning the USCF due structure. Okay. The committee should consist of, and this is only my opinion, if you want to change it, that's fine, Bill Deutschberg, who has done an outstanding job with doing surveys, and the LMA representative should be there, the finance representative should be a member, or one of their delegates, and the survey chair. The rationale for the, by the way, the life membership, sustaining membership, the life membership is very, very important. That's why I supported Myron and Rachel here. Because at the $175 fee that per year sustaining membership that I brought up earlier today, that's an extra $2,500 and only if only 10 new sustaining members join. And I think that all these things need to be discussed. There's quite a bit of flack that I've been getting comparing some things with all the different categories we have. It needs to be simplified, and so that we're not every delegate meeting changing it and upgrading the prices and things, and we need to discuss that, I think, in a committee so that, and we get the feedback from the survey we send out to all the people that are going to be involved and people that are paying for the USCF. So that's the reasons for the forming this committee that I hope you will pass. Thank you very much.
We had two committees who, in fact, reviewed the due structure this year, the Finance Committee and we had the committee, the Finance Committee reviewing it this year, and then we had the Executive Board reviewing it this year. I move that we refer this to the Executive Board.
This is not a committee to review. This is a committee.
I move that we refer this to the Executive Board.
Second.
Objection.
So we have
Objection to the second?
To refer.
Objection forward.
We have an objection to the referring motion.
You can't object to referring if it's moved and seconded.
We have.
You can demand it, you can't object to it.
Okay, discussion on referral that has been seconded.
We've already forwarded something to the board to create a committee to be able to review the due structure. So this is doing it a second time. The committee is going to make their determination on how they're going to go about researching. It's going to be surveys, whatever it is, but we've already referred something to the executive board. That was with the original EB proposal for the dues increases. We added in there to do an actual create a committee to review the structure. It's kind of like doing this a second time. Yeah, it was. It was added at the end of 25.
Yeah, I think we did add a motion to the board. This is not necessarily identical.
I think it successfully voted to refer it to the Executive Board, wasn't it, earlier?
It was referred to from the EB to create a committee, right? We're just shaking our head that it is. This is just, there's no reason to have a second one. The committee will make that determination.
One point of information is your argument that it's mooted because it's already been referred.
Exactly.
Tony, do you accept that this has already been done?
I'm not sure. I haven't. I'm not of the impression that the makeup of the committee that is requested.
Point of order, Chair. Mr. Chairman, would you rule on whether this is moot in reference to the earlier act?
Mike?
We do have an existing motion to ask the board to create a committee. This would ask the board to create a committee. There is no requirement that this board create two committees. They could both be the same committee. This does not bind the board to create this committee or do these particular things. This is by referring to the board. It's just saying the board do something about this. I don't think this is moot. I think it would be very easy to just vote to refer this to the board and let them deal with it. Again. Yeah, as part, along with their other things. So when they meet, they would just have to say, oh, we got both of these motions, we've got to do something.
I think this would make sure that something got done.
Okay.
And didn't get buried in with the other big long chain thing we had with all the prices on.
Right, this won't be buried because it's in there twice.
In the interest of transparency, perhaps somebody should identify the survey chair
Well, we don't know who that's going to be next year.
Yeah, I mean, he conned me into it when he wanted to retire, and I've been stuck with it since, so that's the only reason. I don't have to, I mean, if they don't want me on it, that's fine.
Tim Just.
I think it's everybody else.
Call the question.
Call the question for referral.
Call the question for referral.
Objections to calling the question? Seeing none, ready to vote. In favor of the referral?
Thank you.
Against the referral? Abstained? This motion passes to refer to the executive board. We're down to probably our last three. Oh, you're kidding.
Next one is Sam Sloan.
Sam Sloan. 113.
113.
Is this the motion, Sam, that you not sue the USCF in the future?
Okay. Asa Hoffman is a close personal friend of mine. I have known him since 1964. I see him almost every day playing chess for money in the park. I talk to him all the time. I have nothing against him, certainly nothing personally against him. However, I asked him about this $10,000 that the board voted to give him. I said, what do you think about the $10,000 the board voted to give you? He said, well, if anybody was offered to give you free money, would you take it or not? And I said, well, yeah, if somebody offered me free money, yes, I would take it. I think most people would take free money. The problem with the free money is that there's only $118,000 left in the professional chess players' health and benefit fund. This fund was set up to give chess players, indigent chess players who've been playing chess all their life, like, for example, Grandmaster Igor Ivanov, who got terminal cancer, and he had no retirement benefits because he never done anything in his life besides play chess, or Alex Volkevich, who actually died before he got any money. These kind of people who have no health insurance, no life insurance, no any kind of insurance because they've been playing chess all their life, they're all grandmasters. The fund was supposed to help these kind of people. By the way, there's a line in the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer introducing Asa Hoffman, who's played by an actor. He said, this guy is the son of two prominent Park Avenue lawyers, and yet he's a professional chess player. That's the line for Asa Hoffman. Most of you, I think, have seen the movie. The problem is that if we give a guy money just because he would like to have $10,000 free dollars, then what about all the rest of the people in this room who would also like to have $10,000 free dollars? This should be reserved only for medical purposes, people who are sick in the hospital and do not have any health insurance, because the money is limited. We can't give it to everybody, and it should. And when I was on the board, we actually gave money to two people. Both of them turned out not to deserve it. John Grief was given $10,000 because we were told he had terminal cancer and he was going to die any month now. Turns out he was misdiagnosed, and he took the $10,000.
Okay, your 2 minutes is up.
Parliamentary procedure, is this not an attempt to reconsider a previously passed motion?
This is an EB motion, not an ADM.
This is a delegate motion.
No.
No, he's asking to rescind it. The executive board motion.
Oh, well, and that's not a delegate motion?
No, that's EB.
I know that's an EB motion.
Right.
But is this not a delegate motion to rescind an EB motion?
Yes.
Okay. This is in order. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead.
I move to postpone indefinitely.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to postpone indefinitely. Any discussion on the postponement motion?
Not debatable.
Not debatable. All in favor of postponing the motion, raise your badges. Opposed? Abstained? This motion to postpone passes indefinitely.
Okay, the next one is Frank Camerata.
Frank Camerata. Number 114.
No, it's actually 101.
101.
We're numerically challenged here.
One of the same got ahead of me since you just became a delegate. Okay, this will be real quick. You're all familiar with iPhones, smart devices, Androids. I think this is going to be a longer period. You get 1 to 2 terabytes of memory in here, and these things can become pretty awesome chess playing engines. What I'd like to do to kind of get ourselves ahead rather than being reactionary like we normally are, I'd like to get the Rules Committee to start thinking about how do we address this problem. Do we need to actually change the rules of play? Do we need some procedures in place? This is going to be on us sooner than we know. It's already destroyed correspondence chess. I'd sure hate to do it to OTB chess. So this is a recommendation to have the Rules Committee investigate and come up with policies and rules surrounding the use of these things in tournaments. We already have some rules in place regarding that. It was greatly watered down by this group. We will take that under advisement, and I move to refer it to the Rules Committee for it. That's the motion. Okay.
So, a motion to refer,
All right, I dropped the second motion to refer.
Let's just vote on the motion.
Yeah, let's vote.
Is that a minor exchange?
All in favor of the motion, raise your badges. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes to refer to,
103.
whatever.
Refer to who?
Pass. Rules is pass.
Refer is pass.
I say pass.
It's passed.
Pass.
Yeah, 10. I think the next one is...
101.
The next one is Richard Kepke. 103.
So this is just an attempt to make a technical correction to a motion that was previously passed, is in your delegate actions of continuing interest, and I refer you to number 8 on that list, which is on page 38 of your delegate's call. And the history behind this is the original form of this had 4 requirements for state affiliates. And this motion...
The original had 5 requirements.
Right,
We eliminated one.
Right. I'm sorry. One of them kind of disappeared because we no longer give out SAS funds. But the original version of this had 4 requirements followed by a bunch of recommendations. Somehow in the history of this going from delegates call to delegates call, it became all recommendations. And so the motion basically just returns it to its original form, where the first 4 items on the list are requirements and the rest are recommendations.
That's the way it used to be. It was pretty gone.
Where's the list?
Can we clarify that this is not a new ADM, it's a DM?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a DM, I'm sorry.
Mike Nolan.
Start on the top. Page 38, in case anyone's interested.
Page 38.
What page is it if you're not interested?
Go to the bar.
Just to add, I think this essentially corrects the printing error that was always meant to be that way.
I don't, okay, this sort of re-emphasizes the requirements listed on page 38 for the state chapter.
First 4.
The first 4 should be requirements.
Okay.
They always used to be.
Okay, is this 2/3?
No, it's a DACI, it's not a bylaw.
Okay. Are we ready? Discussion. Ready to vote? Okay. Those in favor of DM 103, raise your badges. Those opposed, raise your badges. Abstain. Motion passes.
Next one, I believe, is Steve Emmett. Okay, Steve, you're up.
Is that last word plural?
Yes. Yes. Future U.S. Opens. And this idea basically just, I guess, arose from a discussion on the forums regarding turnouts in various U.S. Opens, including this one, and whether there are any restrictions, or I'm not sure that restrictions as to what the U.S. Open requirements is. A geographical rotation requirement. I kind of thought there was, but maybe there's not such a requirement. But anyway, the general idea is to get some input from the members, maybe an email survey to see what formats, some possible formats for the U.S. Open might be of interest to them, and also what locations, what type of locations for the U.S. Open, potential locations, and even if the concept of having the U.S. Open anchored in one place for a few years, if that concept were also something the members might be interested in. So the idea is just for the board, the delegates will be interested in the board doing a survey of an email survey of the members to see what they think about the various U.S. Open possibilities.
Let's go back to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, this is an excellent idea. In general, the USCF doing email surveys is an excellent idea. It's something I've been asking for a long time, and nothing ever seems to happen. So I've done a whole lot of my own surveys, which have resulted in, oh, you're only surveying people who play in CCA tournaments, the results may be biased. Well, yes, they might be, but the USCF doesn't do any surveys. So it would be really nice if the USCF would survey not only this, but a whole lot of other issues, and it costs very, very little to do the surveys by email.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we're going to vote on DM 114. All in favor, raise your badges. All opposed, abstain. Motion passes to
be interested.
To survey.
No, that's it. I'm definitely interested.
Specifies the office.
I believe the only remaining motion is the one from Harold Winston.
Harold Winston.
Is Bill Hall available? Bill? I'm yielding for two brief but very important announcements for Bill Hall before the motion.
Next year, the U.S. Open obviously is in Vancouver, Washington, which is a suburb just north of Portland, Oregon. And in the following year, 2013, 2013, we are looking at Atlanta, Georgia. 2014, we have the contract for St. Louis, Missouri. So 2014, St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, I'm going to make things difficult for Mike Nolan by switching items 4 and 6 and then adding to what I have for 4. All right? All right, the delegates give a vote of thanks to the following. Jim Berry for presiding over the annual delegates meeting. Got the name right there, at least. Mike Nolan for his service as parliamentarian. Alan Priest for his chairing of the governance task force. New number 4, Mike Neatman and Bill Hall for conducting the awards luncheon. Number 5, Joan Du Bois for her help with the delegates meeting. And 6, last but not least, Pat Smith for organizing not only the 2011 US Open, but for organizing this entire convention in Orlando. That's right.
I'd also like to say that the Board of Directors luncheon or reception committee was very, very well attended. Thank you for showing up. Is that it? Are we ready for adjournment?
Hello.
We're voting on this? Okay, we're not ready for adjournment. We're going to vote. Did we already vote?
No, that's by acclamation.
Okay. That was accepted by acclamation. Now we're down to installation of new executive board members. Don't we need an MCO where he puts his hand on the MCO and raises it? There's 3 installations that need to take place. Gary Walters, Mike Nickman, and Alan Priest.
Randy, you can now step down.
Better fun.
Randy, we'll see you in the bar.
That's right.
And Pat already gave me a nameplate.
Here it is. Just take out by and put it in the It's in the budget, Randy. You can take it.
Embezzling office supplies.
You don't get the computer.
I didn't realize it's almost adjourned.
I have, it's like that, actually.
I'm not sure what the procedure here. Have we completed the installation of the new
They need to
office?
take the oath of office.
Okay. Parliamentarian, what's the oath of office?
He's making it up.
Mr. Chairman, could I take leave to address the delegates extremely briefly?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Is there a second? All in favor, raise your badges. Objective.
Adjourn. Move to adjourn.
Okay, at 3 o'clock, we're going to have a closed executive board session.
No, it's open, isn't it? Oh no, close it
Following
soon.
that, we're going to have
Most
open
people will
session.
show up. That's how
I don't know. Endeavor. There will be a sign out in the hallway where the open session will take place. If we don't have a big turnout, we can do it in the executive board room, which is the Endeavor.
All right, bylaws, people, meeting right near the Lieberman's here. Very brief, 2-minute meeting.